Hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome to another week of Awaken and Align. Today, you get a solo episode from me. Yay! I love doing these episodes because I have so much information to share. And I actually had another episode planned, but in true Aries style, I decided to change my mind at the last minute because I just have so much to share in terms of what's going on energetically, downloads I've been getting, and also just inspirational messages. Because I don't know about you, if you live in 2021 in the modern world, in even America in general, shit is getting crazy. So first off, I wanted to make a few announcements because there's a lot going on here on Awaken and Align. And in full transparency, Awaken and Align has become something so much more than just a podcast. It started off as a podcast, and then through your suggestions and your asks, it became a community where we meet once a week. We talk about astrology, we talk about divination, tarot, spirituality, and we really just meet up and hang out. And I actually really look forward to it every week. At first, I was a little hesitant because of my commitment phobia, but that's something that I've been working through the last 2 years. And I honestly love this community so much. So many beautiful souls. And then it kind of turned into this learning platform where I bring on people from the podcast and also some of my friends to share their wisdom and knowledge. So if I could distill down into three core values, which I shared with my circle last week during Taurus season, it's really, really good to really hone in on what you value and what you're all about. So for Awaken and Align, it's really community first, connection, human connection, and exploration. And with exploration, it's learning and unlearning, because as you all know, there's a lot of things we need to dismantle in terms of our belief systems and what we were taught, and also learning, exploring first and foremost for our individual selves and then for the collective. And that's really what this episode is going to be a lot about, is about this idea of learning and unlearning our belief systems. I mean, we're having these major eclipses. If you subscribe to my newsletter, which also I was so hesitant about for so long because I didn't want to commit to something every week, which has been a running theme in my life. But I shared in last week's article about eclipse season and what this particular eclipse season is all about, which is our beliefs, the way we think. And so with that being said, our Awaken and Align Reiki practitioners, which I'm so proud of, that something that I wanted to do with them and for all of us to co-create together, this giving back and reciprocity business model. Well, it's not even really a business model because we personally don't make any money. We give back to a charity once a month, but we're doing another one for the month of May on Sunday, May 23rd at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And this is an earlier time on the weekend so that our European community can join. We have a global community. We have a teacher in Hong Kong, we have a teacher in Romania, people on the West Coast of America, East Coast of America. So we really are a global community, and so we have to kind of shift our time zones every once in a while to accommodate our global community. But really, the intention of these circles was for all of us to give back in some way. Reiki is a system of healing rooted in Japan, and we've all been fortunate enough to have enough money and enough time to learn this for ourselves and heal ourselves. And this is our way of giving back to the community on a sliding scale. And we've decreased our minimum ask, I guess you can say, to $5 to anything that you want to donate. It's really not limited. And we come together as a circle, we share, you get to experience Reiki healing for yourself without having to, if you're not financially abundant in this moment, to experience it, and to also be in community, because community for me in this Aquarian age is how we heal and how we move forward. So it's so powerful. I can't say it enough, and how much I love this community. And 100% of the proceeds goes to a charity that we choose collectively as a group. And this month's charity in honor of Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month and the relief efforts that are going on in India right now, we have chosen United Sikhs. And I don't know if you all know this, but I am certified in Kundalini Yoga. I got certified in India in 2018. And when I got to travel there, and I'm so privileged and so grateful that I got to travel to India to learn India from the birthplace of India in Rishikesh, I got to actually visit a lot of Sikh temples and learn about the Sikh tradition. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful way that they give back to their communities. Please learn about what the Sikhs do. There's so many Sikhs actually in New York, who if you just spend time learning about people and where they're from, you get to learn a lot, and how New York is such a melting pot for different cultures. That's my little plug for New York, my hometown. But I just love what the Sikhs are all about. And so we're giving to them this month to help with the efforts. And all of this information I will link in the show notes so you could read more and learn more. But if you've ever want to experience Reiki and our circles and what we do, this is your chance. Sunday, May 23rd at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And if you're listening to this after, then just look out in my newsletters on Instagram, my personal Instagram, I am Laura Chung, or at Awaken and Align, and you'll find the information there. Secondly, next week on May 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern time is the full moon eclipse in Sagittarius. It's a total eclipse. And my astrology teacher, Nick Lasky, and I, he has also been in our circles before and on this podcast. He's coming back, and we're doing some fire release ritual because this is a south node eclipse, which we'll get into more detail in a moment. But it's a big deal. It's a collective energy, and also it affects us individually. And so the best thing to do during these eclipses is to surrender and to release and let go. It's not a time for manifesting or setting intentions. It's just a time of surrender. So what better way to surrender with people, with community? And I'm a Sagittarius rising, and I have a stellium in my first house. So I love working with fire. And if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you see a lot of fire videos and fire imagery. I love working with the fire element. I love the element of fire. My sun sign is in Aries, which is a fire sign as well. So I just love working with the element of fire because, like the phoenix, you burn away what no longer serves you. And you transmute those ashes, whatever was left over, the old energies that, it's not good or bad. It's brought you up to this point, what you needed. And moving forward, you need to make space for what you're calling in. So I just love working with the fire element. And now I've spent like 2 minutes talking about fire. But it's just, if you know me and if you know Nick, we are all about having fun and bringing joy into it. And these are serious times. Our collective consciousness is shifting to a point where, if you listen to the last episode 130 with Remington Donovan and the 5-year numerology, and that episode was amazing because he really gave us insight into like why this is such a pivotal moment in our collective history, our humanity. And with change, it's weird. Things get weird and chaotic and scary and dense. And you know, energy moves so quickly too with all of these movements in the air element, and with the Aquarian age and with technology, it's so imperative to find yourself a community that you resonate with. If it's not my community, find one that resonates with you, and make sure that you have a spiritual toolkit. I said this so much in 2019, and all of my podcast guests in 2019 said the same thing. Make sure you build your spiritual practice, your toolkit, whether it's meditation, breath work, anything, walking in nature, whatever you have to do to ground your energy, this is the time. So I don't even know if I actually mentioned the date, but again, it's May 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I will link everything in the show notes, and it's going to be fun. And, you know, who knows what will happen. So I first wanted to start this off by saying thank you so much. I'm so grateful for this community that keeps expanding. I'm looking at the numbers and the downloads for the first time in my life. I randomly sometimes get like people from Latvia and, you know, hi, my contingent in Australia. I get these messages that you're listening from all over the world. And I'm like, wow, this is like so exciting to me. But I've been not a numbers gal ever, even on my Instagram and my TikTok and like algorithms and analytics, and especially this podcast, I never looked at download numbers because that to me was not what it was all about. To me, it was all about being of service, of offering free information, wisdom to anybody that wanted it. And I'm just seeing them grow, and I'm just, wow, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you for messaging me and saying that it resonates with you. And through a lot of inner work and through a lot of like, really, again, during Taurus season, it was about distilling down what is of worth to me, what do I value, what is my worth, and what do I want to bring forth for the coming, who knows, like 5, 10, 20 years of my life. And if you've listened to this podcast during the whole Saturn Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius, you know that this was happening in my third house of the community of communication. And I made this big intention to offer more wisdom, to show up more, to be more vocal. And it's just so rewarding that I get to do this. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for subscribing, for liking, for commenting. I so appreciate you. I'm trying to create more content on YouTube because I really love doing this. I love sharing knowledge, and I love sharing mystical, magical, witchy content. It's just, I don't know. As you can see by my face, my smile, I'm grinning from ear to ear. So I didn't want to get into the lessons of Taurus season just yet. I wanted to share this oracle card that I pulled this morning for the collective of Awaken and Align, and I thought it was so appropriate. First of all, I channeled the collective energy of whoever's listening and whoever needs to listen to this. And right now I'm recording on Tuesday, May 18th. So this goes out May 19th of 2021. So we are one day before Gemini season and before Mercury goes retrograde. So anyway, this deck was gifted to me by my beautiful witchy sister, Tanya. Thank you, Tanya, if you're listening or watching. But it's from the Goddess Power Oracle, and she got this for me for my birthday. So I picked Kuan Yin, which I love her. Okay, I'm gonna work the lighting so you can see, and I have to do that like influencer thing. Kuan Yin is compassion, And for those of you listening on the podcast, I'll describe what the photo looks like. Kuan Yin is all in pink with this amazing crown. The number of this card is 26, which breaks down to an 8, which I love the number 8. It's the infinity symbol. It's of infinite wisdom and knowledge, abundance. So if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, this message is for you. So I'm going to read both the empowerment message and alignment message. The alignment message is for when it turns upside down, but when I was reading it, I was like, wow, this could be very appropriate for the collective right now. Okay, so here we go. Kuan Yin, compassion. Empowerment message. Compassion is what's needed right now to help you release perfectionism and defensiveness. The purpose of compassion is to help reduce suffering in the world. So be mindful not to judge yourself or others too harshly as you stumble through life's obstacle course. In fact, tuning into the energy of compassion and kindness almost instantly eradicates the stirred up energy of controlling thoughts and knee-jerk behaviors. The Chinese goddess of compassion, Kuan Yin, offers a gentle nudge to ask yourself this question: what would kindness do in this situation? If you approach everything with that in mind, you will discover solutions and new paths unfolding before you. In fact, living with compassion as your guide really changes everything, right down to the products you buy and the food you eat. Today, make kindness a priority. The world will be a better place, and you will feel amazing as you see the miracles light up where you least expect them. Okay, now for the alignment message. Are you feeling overwhelmed by all the suffering in the world? And you can't imagine how you could make a difference? Do you feel hopeless over how we treat nature and each other? The goddess Kuan Yin knows that this is an important time of reckoning and reordering, but wants you to be careful not to fall into a pit of despair. If you allow the media to fill your mind with a constant barrage of what's wrong in the world, you will become numb and unable to move. The good news is, in your alignment task, first focus your mind locally. Your choice is not to save the whole world, but to bring your attention to where you can help. Even the smallest step towards a greater compassion is huge. Educate yourself about cultural issues and be better and more conscious and sensitive about your choices. Lend a helping hand to someone in need, volunteer your time, and choose one act of random kindness daily to help alleviate suffering. Do what you can and make that count. Always ask in your work, your relationships, and in your community, how will what I do serve others well? Remember, if you don't get it right, you can always course correct. With commitment, you will add more beauty to the world. Everyone is learning right now, and Kuan Yin reminds you to be kind to yourself too as you accept your role in birthing a new world into being. Okay, so when I was reading the alignment message, I was getting full body chills this morning because this is so appropriate for what's going on right now. If you've been watching my IG lives, my pretend talk show, and what I've been sharing in my stories, I really feel deeply that, first of all, spirituality is in everything, and we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So I mean, if you've been listening thus far, you know how outspoken I am about all topics, because in this ultimate goal of co-creating a more free and better world for all of us, we cannot bypass our 3D real lived experiences that we've all collectively agreed upon, the illusion. I think with a lot of spiritual people, the misunderstanding, especially if you're new to spirituality, is that we just completely bypass and go to the 5D. And I've been there. Like, I want to bypass the 5D. I want to go into the astral realms and pretend like this whole illusion thing is not real, because sometimes it's just too heavy and too difficult to deal with. But that is why we're such powerful, super powered beings, because we're able to hold both. We're able to be these 5D multi-dimensional spiritual beings in this human form, and we can hold both spaces. That's what it means to be truly multi-dimensional. So it's really like what this message said. It's not about turning yourself off of what's going on. Educate yourself, understand what's going on, and understand that everything is related and everything is interconnected. But also for your own mental health, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. It's so important to ground your energy and remind yourself of what's important and realign to what matters, and also not get too caught up in the web of the illusion. You have to balance it, right? Because we do live in a very polarized society right now, and when you're too much in the material realm, the 3D, you lose sight of your spiritual sense, and that there's a lot more of what's going on that you don't see. And then if you're too much in the extreme of the spiritual realm, you are not grounded to this reality and you're bypassing. So I think reading this, it was like, the best thing that we can do is educate ourselves and work locally, because really what you're meant to do, not all of us are meant to have a microphone on social media. Not all of us are journalists and, you know, out on the front lines, or maybe your thing isn't even protesting, but in your own family, in your own friends group, in your own community, are you having these conversations? Are you curious? Are you educating yourself about what's really going on? And then ask yourself, how can you help in your own way? Because how you serve this planet is your unique resonance. So like, if you're an artist, a musician, or you're a nurse or a teacher, that's your way, and nobody can tell you how to do it your way. And that's why everybody is necessary. Everybody is involved. Nobody's more important than the other. And let me see if this is better. And nobody can tell you what to do either. Nobody can tell you you're not doing enough, or you're not doing this or that. I feel like there's this pressure now on social media that you have to post something, or that you have to speak up. And I do believe that it's important not to be silent. And I do believe it's important not to bypass. But at the same time, you should also educate yourself and do the own research, and not just react and post whatever reposting thing you see on social media, because I don't think that's helpful either. So I actually spent last weekend, the entire weekend, just educating myself, watching videos, reading the history of what's going on in Israel and Palestine before I reacted, before I said anything, because you know, it is linked to the US, it is linked to Americans. Our tax dollars are paying for the Israeli government and the military. So it does affect me, because that's where my money's going. So everything is connected. And whether something is happening in India or Colombia, or you know, anywhere in the world, we live in one world. This is our planet. So we all have to care about everybody. I don't have to lecture about this, because if you're listening to this podcast, then you are a heart expanded soul who wants to do well by the earth. But I also wanted to, you know, like also let you know that you don't have to have a megaphone and post and be so outspoken as maybe I am or somebody else on social media is, but just educate yourself and do your own part in the way that you know how. So that is the message: compassion. Thank you, Kuan Yin. I love Kuan Yin. Okay, so I have a checklist. So normally I go off the cuff and I kind of just turn this on and I kind of just channel and see what needs to come out, but I didn't want to get off topic. So I kind of briefly mentioned about the lessons of Taurus season. And if you've watched a couple of my IG videos and TikToks and anything else that I've been posting, because I've been pretty active on social media, Taurus season was really about finding your stability, your inner worth, what you value, the material realm, and building up that foundation for yourself. And Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is the planet of beauty and love and money. And it is a very embodied experience, a very embodied earthly season. And I hope that over Taurus season, you felt more grounded, you connected to nature, you connected to what you love, you did a little bit of body work, you moved your body. Here in New York, it's like full bloom. All the trees are bloomed, all the flowers are past its peak. And now we're moving into the summer, and it's already 80 degrees here. So we are full blown going into the summer phase right now. And as I mentioned, on May 20th, the sun moves into Gemini. So we're moving into an air season, the season of Gemini. And shout out to my Geminis, because I love me some Geminis. And I was scrolling through Instagram the other day, and there were so many memes like talking shit about Geminis. And I'm like, I love Geminis. My ex-boyfriends are Geminis. All of my best friends are Geminis. And I think it's because so if you know something about astrology, I'm a Sagittarius ascendant, and the opposite of that is Gemini. And Geminis really activate my mind. They're all about curiosity, and they're the social butterflies. They're ruled by Mercury, so they move very fast. They're not about stagnancy. They're about novelty and like discovering and curiosity. And that really stimulates, first of all, my Aquarian Venus and moon. And also just, I don't like being stagnant. I don't like the same thing over and over again, which is interesting because I love rituals, but I don't like staying in one place, and I don't like doing the same thing over and over again. So I love Gemini. Shout out to all my Geminis. And I'm super excited for this season, because every Gemini season, it really signifies to me the energy of Gemini, which is going out and like hanging out with people and celebrating, having fun, talking, communicating. Gemini in the tarot is signified by the lovers. And in tarot, it could be interpreted as lovers, the other Gemini twins, but it's also about making decisions. And Mercury rules the mind. So it's going to be a season of, first of all, you're out and about. When Jupiter moved into Pisces, which was recently, I did a whole video about that on my Instagram. That is the exact date that they said that people who are fully vaccinated, that they can take off their masks now. And I was like, wow, that is such a Jupiter and Pisces theme. So in New York, they're opening back up. People are getting vaccinated. People feel a little bit more free. People are having hot girl summer, hot them summer, hot boy summer. And with that comes more choices. Last year in the panorama, in the pandemic Lovato, I don't know when that's ever going to get old, but we didn't have choices. We had one choice, which was to stay home and go within and find how we were going to move through this new normal. Now, all of a sudden, and by the way, I just want to say that within a year and a half, the fact that we went through a global panorama, we have a vaccine, and now we're opening up again is just like a miracle to me, first of all, because if you read any historical pandemic, they've lasted way longer, way more crazy shit has happened. And the fact that because of modern science and Instagram and technology and the way information can be spread, I can't believe that, like, and knock on wood, don't mean to jinx it, but it just seems like things are getting back to not normal, but the new normal, right? So with that, there's going to be more choices. I wouldn't be surprised if people are traveling more, and I wouldn't be surprised too if last year was like this revelatory moment for a lot of people who were kind of just like taking a back seat to their lives, and it made them realize, like, I gotta shoot my shot. I gotta like get after life. I gotta travel. I gotta ask that guy out on a date. I gotta quit my job. I have to take that chance. You know, I think it was that moment for a lot of people. And for me personally, I think the opposite happened. That was me, very Sagittarian, very going out into this world, the hero's journey. And now I've almost like done the opposite, which was, wow, I really like being home. I really love New York. I love where I grew up. I love my local community. Because of technology, I get to communicate and connect with people all over the world. And not that I'm not going to travel anymore, because let's be honest, I'm a Sagittarius rising. That's like a part of my identity. But I really asked myself, you know, Jupiter and Pisces moving into my fourth house of home and family, where do I want to build roots? Like, where do I want to maybe like stay still a little bit? Just some ideas that I've been contemplating. So Gemini season is, I don't know, in a nutshell, really exciting time for me. It has this like buzzy energy. And it also marks the summer solstice, which is happening, I believe, on June 20th. And that's like the peak of summer. It's, you know, everyone's having fun, everyone's outside, the days are longer. You know, the sun rises now at 5:30 and the sun sets at 8:30. It's like, wow, that's a really long day. So anyway, I'm super excited about this summer. I have a really good feeling about it. So you want to look at where Gemini is, like what house it's in, which will tell you what area of your life is getting this buzzy feeling. I use tropical whole house systems because, in my opinion, it gives you a more accurate reading of the transits that are going on. And I mention this because Mercury is going in retrograde in the sign of Gemini on May 29th Eastern time. So we're in the pre-shadow phase right now. So just it went into shadow phase May 15th until May 28th. So it's usually like the 2 weeks before Mercury actually goes retrograde. And why this is an important time is because this is the preview of what you're going to actually review. Retrograde is review, reflection during Mercury retrograde. So from May 15th to May 28th, 29th, just notice what's happening in your life, what's been showing up. I always look at my camera roll to see like what I was doing, who I was communicating with, where I was going, what thoughts were going through my head. I have a journal, by the way, and if you're on the YouTube, you'll see I'm showing my journal. Like, I journal every single day, sometimes twice a day, and I have another one because this is like, if you've ever seen that movie A Beautiful Mind, where he just like scribbles, like that's how I feel sometimes with my mind. Like, not that I'm as like not that my IQ is as high as that character, but this is like my brain dump in the morning. Like, all of this is in my head and I just needed to get it out because first of all, I have the most lucid, like prophetic dreams, and I need to get that on paper. And then this is how I channel wisdom and knowledge and information through my own lived experiences as well. And also just like anecdotal case studies from people that I help, people in my circles. And I kind of like synthesize it in a way for you to understand, because, you know, we're all going through these collective energies together. And I'm sure that whoever's listening, it will resonate in some way. So Mercury retrograde, every sign has its domicile ruler, meaning like that is where it loves to be. And Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the fastest moving planet of our solar system. Mercury is also, in Greek mythology, Hermes. I love Hermes. Please research, read up. I watch YouTube videos about like Greek mythology now because I'm studying Greek mythology because it's so relevant to astrology and everything that's, we got our modern democracy from the Greeks. So Hermes was the messenger of the gods. And if you look at the glyph of Mercury, it's a Venus sign, but at the top of it, at the top of the circle, is a crescent moon. And a crescent moon is indicative of being intuitive. So really, Mercury to me is communication, but downloads as well. And since Gemini is in its like domicile ruler of Mercury, it really signifies to me, and it being with the North Node, which we'll go into in a second, that you're going to get a lot of downloads, that you're going to get a lot of aha moments, a lot of things are going to be shown to you, a lot of reflection during this Mercury retrograde. Wherever house it's in, it'll be more reflective of what area of your life this will point to. For me, it's happening in the 7th house of relationships, one-on-one partnerships. So one thing that I can expect is probably people from my past coming back, such as exes, friends, old coworkers or business partners, possibly bosses, but also just really reflecting on how I show up, how I communicate in relationships. And maybe I need to like tweak some things, but also how I show up in, all of my one-on-one relationships. And is that really serving me? For me personally, I've been really working on being more in touch with my emotional body and my emotions and really communicating with people how I truly feel and being vulnerable. And for the first time, I did that during Taurus season. I really told people what I needed. I told people about my boundaries and I needed help. And as an Aries, that's not easy for me. Also, growing up, I was always told to be independent and not that asking for help was a weakness, but being independent and getting things done on your own was like definitely more affirmative in my experience. And, just the way I grew up and the way that I moved through my life, for me, I always felt like I didn't want to burden people by asking for help. And also like this limiting belief that nobody could do it as good as me. That was my own thing that I had to work out. So really for me, and this had already been happening even before Mercury went into retrograde, I've really been contemplating how do I want to show up in my relationships, because what you put out, you get back. So just reflect on that. Wherever Mercury is going in retrograde in a particular area of your life, and you can look up a simple natal chart on astro.com. Again, I use tropical whole house systems, and just reflect upon during Mercury retrograde, how you communicate, and maybe you'll get some really amazing insights. So most people ask me like about Mercury retrograde, like, is this a bad time to sign contracts? Or, what if I have to buy something, or, X, Y, and Z? And I always say, if you can hold off until the retrograde is over, of course, like, please. My parents once bought a car during Mercury retrograde. Obviously, they have no idea about Mercury retrogrades, because Mercury also can signify electronics and internet, computers, and cars and transportation. So make sure that you're very careful during this time. But they bought a car during Mercury retrograde one year, and I was like, oh my God, how could you do that? And my mom was like, what the heck? Why didn't you tell me? But I was like, it'll be fine. You know, maybe it's just a fluke. And then 2 weeks later, my dad got into a car accident. So not telling you this to be afraid, but just be very careful. If you do have to sign contracts, make sure you double check everything. Make sure you back up your electronics, and if you can hold off on signing anything or starting something new in terms of communication or launching something, obviously, like, it's your life. You have to do what you got to do. We have to keep moving along. But I always say use your own discernment. If you can wait, why not wait? You know, like, use the energies to the best of your ability. But if you got to do something, you got to do something. It's a great time, though, to connect back to people who might come up in your life that it's giving you an opportunity to maybe make amends, have forgiveness, or have some nostalgia. Or maybe it's like, no, that's like actually over and I'm ready to move on, you know, because this is also happening with the South Node eclipse in Sagittarius, which is a sure sign to just let go of things and people that are falling away from your life. I know that sounds harsh, but especially for those of you who are on your highest timeline, it's so imperative to allow whatever is falling away to fall away, because in any death phase, what comes next right after is rebirth. You know, after the tower moment comes the star. After any like death and rebirth comes the phoenix. You know, the butterfly goes from a caterpillar to the goo to spreading its wings out of its cocoon. So I know it's difficult, and I'm in this weird, you know, this is happening in my first house. Like, it's really challenged me to think about who I am. What am I doing here? What do I want to like be? I want to be a fairy princess. How do I show up? Like, what is my legacy? Like, it's really made me like question my existence. I'm having like a full-blown ego death here with this eclipse happening right on my ascendant and Uranus there. And I'm sorry if I'm talking a lot of astrology, but I just want to explain like how these energies really affect us for our highest good, if you choose to accept it or not. Okay, so we went through Mercury retrograde and Gemini season, and I think it's a great time to really talk about this eclipse season. So every like year and a half, 2 years, we have these nodal axes change. So from 2018 to 2020, we had the North Node in Cancer and the South Node in Capricorn. And yay, that was my nodal return. It was rough. Man, I had a rough 7 years. I'm not going to lie. And by rough, I just mean transformative. And then in 2020, so May of 2020, the nodes changed to Gemini and Sagittarius. And I will never forget this video I did. I can't find it because I didn't save it, but I did an IG live and I said that this nodal axis of the North Node being in Gemini and the South Node being in Sagittarius is really going to make us question our beliefs, or at least that's the invitation, right? And I had no idea of all of the beliefs of even myself that would be challenged in even now, right? I feel like I went through another awakening in 2020, which, you know, I said in so many podcast episodes that 2020 was, you know, 2020 vision, having an awakening, the greatest shift of our lifetime, seeing clearly, but I really had no idea how many levels of awakening that I would actually go through. And just so you know, the United States of America also is a Sagittarius rising. So this is happening in America's first house, which is their identity. So America is going through an ego death right now. And I can do a whole other episode about what this entails. It's so fascinating. But anyways, I digress. So in Vedic astrology, which I stan Vedic astrology, I think it's so badass. I think it's so fucking powerful, but it scares the shit out of me because I had a Vedic astrology reading in 2019, in November 2019, probably during one of the most challenging moments of my life where I really had no idea what was going on. I didn't really understand astrology at the time. Like I did, and I took a couple of astrology classes and courses, but I just had no idea, like, to this degree of my understanding. And Vedic astrology is no joke, but they take the nodes of fate, which they call it, the nodal axes, very seriously. They call them Rahu and Ketu, the head of the dragon, which is the north node, and Ketu, the tail of the dragon, which is the south node. And the nodal axes are not planets. It's like where the nodes of the moon orbit. So they're not actually like planets, but they're important because these are where the eclipses happen. So, for example, we're having right now, collectively, everybody is experiencing a North Node in Gemini. So, collectively, we are trying to be more curious, have new belief systems, and communicate in a different way. The South Node in Sagittarius, meaning like the South Node is releasing, we're trying to let go of old belief systems. We're trying to let go of stagnant old beliefs around spirituality, religion in particular, of things that have been in our psyche for generations and generations. So the South Node eclipse, which we are experiencing on May 26th, is a releasing of old beliefs, of old stagnant beliefs collectively and individually of what we've held for ourselves and of others. And if I just look at what's happening collectively, like it's happening at a collective scale, you know, everybody has their beliefs about something. Whatever it is, it's like somebody has a belief about it because of the way that they were raised, of their background, of their culture, of the country that they were born in. And just the way that, you know, we are as humans, we attach to a belief, but it doesn't necessarily mean that our beliefs are based on facts or truth, right? So for me personally, I grew up as a Korean American daughter of immigrants in America. So I have my set of belief systems that I believe are so true, but I have biases like we all do. So the South Node eclipse happening for me is in my first house. So what limiting beliefs, what beliefs have I held about myself that are kind of like outdated, and they've taken me this far for 39 years and they're not necessary in order for my next evolution. So collectively, it's the same thing. What have we collectively believed? What have we collectively subscribed to that is not in the greatest good of all going forward? I mean, I could tell you firsthand that as an American, we were taught to believe that America was this like amazing country, the home of the free, the home of the brave. And then when you do your research and you have your awakening in 2020 and you realize like, no, America had some dark shit, like not all good there, you know, some very deep secrets founded on slavery, founded on oppression, founded on taking indigenous lands. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. And I find it so interesting that America is having its Pluto return, I think in 2023, but you know, countries are able to have Pluto returns because that happens every 250 years. So right now, Pluto's in Capricorn, and Capricorn is all about structure. And Pluto is the planet of disintegration, like really pulverizing the structure of what made America America. And I think it's so interesting that this is happening in America's first house, which is the identity of America. And Sagittarius is also the sign of, you know, foreign travel, foreign relationships. That's why Sagittarius is, you know, it's ruled by Jupiter. So it's about expansion, it's about opportunity and luck. And I mean, America is an imperialist country. We have military bases all over the world. Um, and this is a whole other discussion for another day, but whether it's been for good or bad, I don't know. The intentions might have been blurred there, but I really believe with this South Node eclipse in Sagittarius and the North Node eclipse that's happening on June 10th, it's really going to shift our relationships with foreign countries, and just our identity as a whole as a country. And just a side note too, that America is Cancer, and Cancer is all about the nurturing mother energy. It's about home and family. And right now Mars is in Cancer. So Mars in Cancer is the energy of like mama bear, of protecting what is yours, protecting what is home. So just things to mull over as we're moving through this collective energy. I know we have listeners from all over the world, but again, we're all a part of a global community. So, and I'm American, so it really does affect me. And it's just interesting to see how these eclipses and how astrology is so like alive in what's going on collectively. So again, you want to look at your natal chart and see where 5 degrees of Sagittarius is hitting in your natal chart, give or take 5 degrees, so 0 to 10 degrees of Sagittarius. And really, it's going to affect everybody, but most notably Sagittarians, Geminis, and all of the mutable signs, so Pisces and Virgo. Now, on the opposite end is the North Node in Gemini, which we're having a solar eclipse on June 10th, which I mentioned, which is a new moon. And new moons are all about new beginnings. So that is why for this lunar eclipse, full moons in general are always about releasing. It's always about just surrendering to what is leaving your life. And having a lunar eclipse is like 10 times the energy. It's a karmic fate. So again, whatever you notice is dying away, is being released, maybe people, situations, it's literally the universe and fate stepping in to be like, nah, honey, this is not serving your timeline anymore. You got to let this go in order for you to create space for June 10th, the solar eclipse, the new beginning, the new moon. And you don't have to wait that long because it's 2 weeks. With any eclipse portal, it's always 15 days before and 15 days after. So 15 days before this full moon eclipse that's happening next week would have started the new moon in Taurus. So in the new moon in Taurus, I said this is the official beginning of eclipse season because you can start feeling the energies now. And even at the time of this recording, you might be already feeling this energy. I mean, I for sure feel this energy like 10,000 times. And because of the certain other transits and aspects that's happening in my natal chart, this has been affecting my mental health like times 20. Sometimes I'm on this high, like I'm connecting to spirit. And then the next day I'm like in this pit of despair, like what is happening? Because, you know, when you're switching timelines, you're literally letting go of the old you and moving into a new timeline. So you can feel sometimes a little lost, like you're floating out into space. And that's definitely how I feel. But that's why I said in the beginning to remind you to have spiritual practices, to have a spiritual toolkit of what you know works for you. So for me, I love to wake up early, I watch the sunrise, I journal, I listen to high vibrational music. And when I say high vibrational, I just mean like music that makes me feel good. So it can be anywhere from Snoop Dogg to right now, I have beautiful chorus in the background. So I just want to remind everybody that it looks different for everybody. So for you, it could be dancing. That is my beautiful medicine as well. For you, it could be singing, walking outside in nature, playing instruments. I don't know, whatever toots your horn, do it. Because what I love about Gemini season as well is this joyful, fun energy. And I shared this on my Instagram and one of my newsletters about pleasure activism. It's like while we're in the midst of change and while we're in the midst of activism and really standing up for what we believe in, the most important form of revolution is joy and having fun. That is the biggest form of resistance. So remind yourself that having fun, having joy in the midst of all this crazy shit that's happening, it is raising the vibration of the collective. It is helping to bring yourself, filling your own cup so that you can serve others. And okay, if you don't have a platform, if you're not like a circle leader or a community leader, for your family and your friends, right? Because that is really, again, with the Kuan Yin card, a great reminder for all of us that we don't even have to impact social media following. You can impact your own community in the way that you want to. So I hope I said everything about the eclipse. Again, if you ever feel called and if it resonates with you, you can always join our moon circles. We talk a lot about this in depth. I prepare people. I'm always like, watch out for this date because it could be spicy. But really during this time, eclipse season, it's really for you to surrender and for you to allow and just observe. Be an observer of what is happening in your life, and again, have fun, move through this energy, do whatever you need to do to ground yourself, because these energies are super potent. And I don't know if you've heard about the Schumann resonance, but it literally tracks the electromagnetic spectrum, the resonance of the planet. And right now, because of the solar flares and because of what's happening with the eclipses, it's raising the Schumann resonance of our planet. So with that being said, there's a lot of energy moving around. And with Mercury being in Gemini, the North Node being in Gemini, Venus, and now the Sun moving into Gemini, it's just a lot of Gemini air, mind energy. So Mercury ruling the mind can make you feel like analysis paralysis. It can make you feel like too much up in your head. So the best thing to do is to drop it into your body, dance, do breath work, move around. Make sure that before you make any hasty decisions, to listen to your intuition, drop into your heart space. And with any of these transits, they're always temporary. So just remind yourself that if you are going through a wave of energy or time or a season in your life where you're maybe on the downward, always know that life works in cycles. Once you go down, it always goes back up. Okay, so with that being said, I did mention the Schumann resonance, and I wanted to talk about the law of resonance before we wrap up, because this is what all of this download was in my mind. So before I get into that, Jupiter moved into Pisces. And again, Jupiter is the planet of expansion, of opportunity. And my chart is ruled by Jupiter. And last year, or maybe it was 2019, I started this series every Thursdays on my IG, Jupiter Thursdays, Day of Expansion. And I've also posted them on YouTube. And Thursday is ruled by Jupiter, which is always why Thursdays were my favorite days. But it really was to help people like understand energy and just talk about things that I thought were cool and I thought that maybe people would think were cool. So in ancient astrology, classical astrology, Jupiter ruled two planets, Sagittarius and Pisces. Sagittarius being the fire mutable sign, Pisces being the water mutable sign. And people always ask me like, how is that possible? So Sagittarius is the daytime ruler of Jupiter. And the daytime, if you think about it, is fire. It's like very active. It like, if you think about Sagittarian energy, it's the hero's journey. It's going on an adventure. It's traveling. And that's what Sagittarians are known for. We're the wild ponies. We go off on adventures. We seek knowledge through experience. It's also spirituality and beliefs because you want to expand your knowledge. You want to expand your wisdom by exploring, by going on adventures, by going outward. Pisces is the nighttime ruler of Jupiter, and it's all about going inward. It's the heroine's journey. It's about exploring your inner realms. And because Pisces is a water sign, water is all about your emotional realm, about what you really care about, okay, how can I match what I want to experience in the outer realm with my inner well-being, with my inner wealth, right? So that's why I believe in how classical ancient astrology looked at Jupiter as being the daytime and the nighttime rule being Sagittarius and Pisces. Now, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So it's super psychic. It's super expansive. I mean, if you think about the ocean, there is no container for the ocean. It's limitless. It's like everywhere. I mean, if you look at Earth, it's all water. So the reason why I bring this up is because when Jupiter goes into Pisces, or it already did, you might have felt this sudden like expansiveness, this feeling like hope and feeling inspiration. Pisces is also an inspirational energy, art. A lot of artists and musicians are Pisces, or they have big Pisces placements, because when you can tap into different realms, because everything starts in the spirit realm, you're able to channel that into an art form. And usually during times of a pandemic, what happens after a pandemic is a renaissance period of art and creativity, because through, loss and grief and hardships, we're able to channel that into art, which is why art and music is just so important these days. Like creativity, and even beyond, like, I think people think creativity just is like painting or drawing or music, but creating, we are creators of our own reality. We are co-creators with spirit. So whatever you want to create, whether it's writing, TikToks, or if you just want to create a community or anything at all, like this is a beautiful time, Jupiter being in Pisces. Anyway, I went off into a tangent because I really wanted you to have that information. But the minute Jupiter went into Pisces, and I have my Mercury in Pisces in my 4th house, I've been getting the most lucid dreams, and I'm already like prone to lucid dreams, but like just clear messages from spirit. And again, I'm going through this weird time in my life where sometimes I feel like at the pit of despair, where I just want to crawl up into a fetal position and cry myself to sleep. I'm being so dramatic right now. And then sometimes I feel so amazing. But the other night, now I think it was 2 nights ago, I had this like loud voice in my dream, and I had to journal the next day about it, because right before I go to sleep, I always ask a question so that I make sure that that's what I dream about. And I must have asked something like, what should I be doing next? Where can spirit guide me? Because in my dream, I heard, you have everything that you need. Oh, I wrote down the date. So it was May 17th, 2021, which, let me see if I wrote this down. Yes, May 17th, 2021. So it was yesterday. Okay. So after I wrote this in my journal, I was like organizing my books, and I just felt really called to open this book up again. And I'm holding up Becoming Supernatural by my favorite Dr. Joey D, Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I talk about this book a lot. But if you've never read this book, I highly recommend it, because his story, first of all, is so inspirational. But he is a chiropractor. But he talks about a lot of spiritual topics in this book. But anyway, I just randomly opened to a page, right? And this is what I landed upon. I'm going to read it to you. When you create from wholeness, you feel like you already have it. There is no longer wanting, trying, wishing, forcing, predicting, fighting, or hoping. After all, hope is a beggar. When you create from a state of wholeness, there are only knowing and observing. This is the key to manifesting reality, being connected, not separate. You as a consciousness are in the realm of oneness, and because there is no separation, time is eternal. And remember, when there is infinite time, there are infinite spaces, possible dimensions, and realities to be experienced. Whenever you think you are, or whoever you think you are, you are. In fact, there is nothing to try to create, because it already exists as a thought in the realm of all thoughts. All you have to do is to become aware of it and observe it by experiencing it. So this reminded me of the podcast episode with Roberta Romero. And actually, we held a joint new moon circle in Pisces, so very synchronistic, all about collapsing timelines and tapping into the quantum field. And I just started like channeling. It was magical. I usually channel just by speaking and tapping into energies, but it was really the first time that okay, I lied. It wasn't the first time. I did The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron last year as a way of art therapy. If you've never done that, please do that. But what she makes you do every morning is 3 pages of morning pages where you just channel. And I don't know, for some reason, when I have to do something, it just doesn't flow. But for some reason, when I woke up this morning, because I did this morning, and this is why I felt called to do this episode, it was just flowing. So, and I also have another podcast episode and YouTube video of the 12 universal laws. So I'll try to remember to link all of this, but just know that this is all available to you. So I wrote down the law of resonance, what you attract. And this is based on your emotional response. And so the law of resonance is the rate of vibration projected. It will harmonize and attract back energies with the same resonance. So if you think of pitchforks, right? Or maybe you don't know, but I'll tell you now. Pitchforks, when you tap on the pitchfork, it sends off a resonance, a vibration. And whatever that resonates with, that pitchfork will also resonate without even touching it, just by the vibrations that it was resonating on. And that's how pitchforks work. Actually, if you do any kind of energetic healing where the practitioner uses a pitchfork, it's actually amazing because your heart has a resonance, all of your energy centers, your chakras has a resonance. So the pitchfork is meant to tune you back into that energy. So I was thinking about this because what this okay, I'm going to synthesize it all for you now because you're like, Laura, what the heck? What is all this, right? So the message I got in my dream was you have everything that you need. And it's so true because when we're so much in the material realm, like Taurus season, we're so focused on what we see in the 3D reality. And I got really stuck in that because I was working on my like my business, on my financial stability, my money. I was so focused on what I was seeing that I forgot about all of this. And it was spirit reminding me that you have everything you need actually, because everything goes in within. Jupiter and Pisces. Everything starts with your emotions. And what you want to see in the material realm, like the 3D, the matrix, the illusion, the reality, is just a projection of what you resonate inwardly. And again, pointing back to Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joey D, when you create from a place of wholeness, you feel like you already have it. There's no longer wanting, trying, wishing, forcing, predicting, fighting, or hoping. Because that's why I've always said in many of my videos, and I use this word manifesting because people, so people understand. But I also want to say in the same breath, like, I don't really like the word manifesting because manifesting has this vibration of getting, of trying, of like writing, of like, just getting something from the material realm. And I have to say that not all, but most of the manifestation gurus I see on Instagram are all about manifesting material things. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. There's like absolutely nothing wrong with that. We are human beings. Hey, I want my dream house and I want to get the coin. Like I want all of those things. But I think there is a resonance of lack when you are manifesting from that space of trying and getting and forcing. When you create, because we are all creators, we're creating all the time. You want to create from a place of just being, that you just are abundance, that you are just love. And that comes from how you feel. It comes from your emotions. It comes from your beliefs. And it was just, I was like, I literally got so emotional this morning because I forgot, because I was so stuck in what I was looking at and like all of the lack I was feeling and all the fear and doubt and worry, that I was like, oh, Laura, you silly goose, you just forgot that actually it's just all here already. You have everything that you need. It's in your inner realm. And when you feel that way, there's no shame in that either. When you feel that worry and that doubt, emotions are just our GPS system. It's just a place for us to recognize, oh, I feel a little lack there. I wonder what that is. Like, why do I feel that way? So anyway, I also wrote down, The Secret and the law of attraction. Actually, it's really about the law of resonance, because the law of resonance is the rate of the vibration that projects out. So like, you are a vibrational being. If we all broke down into like what we actually are, 99% of us is just space. We're just energetic particles. And the law of vibration is the ocean of motion. So we're just like little vibrating particles. The law of attraction is that you will attract something. That's all it is that that's a law. You attract something. Now, are you attracting from a place of fear or love? And that's why I love doing A Course in Miracles, because everything is either fear or love. So if you're on the fear state, again, no shame. I was there just this morning. of worry, of doubt, of just focusing on your material realm and what's not there, then you are attracting more of that. And actually, I actually said a prayer of thanks to my guides, and we are all truly divinely guided, because if you truly attracted all of the crazy shit that you were thinking about, you would be well worse off, I'm sure of it. But you're so divinely protected and guided that what you attract is probably just more of what you are experiencing, which is, you know, where we feel stagnancy, where we feel like, oh, I want to have that thing, but I'm not getting that thing. But that's good. You recognize that's what you're doing, and then you have to shift it into a place of love, of wholeness, of knowing that you are divinely protected, that you are divinely provided for, that the universe wants you to be more successful than you want to be, that it actually is a benevolent universe, that everything is working out for your favor. And when you remind yourself of these things, and that's why everyone gets to this place in their own way. It could be through affirmations, through journaling, through guided meditations, through writing out your affirmations. I had to go back to the basics, actually. I actually had to start saying affirmations to myself again to get to that place of wholeness. So anyway, what makes up a vibration? It's your thoughts, feelings, actions, your intentions, and it sculpts your vibe, your energy. And I would like to just, you know, it's sometimes confusing because you're like, oh my God, I have to think about my thoughts and what I'm doing and what I'm acting. Again, I think you just have to be. You just have to be the thing. So for me, if I want more abundance in my life, I just have to be abundance. And for me, that starts with, what is abundance to me? What does that mean for me? And I had to define that to myself. So to me, I wrote in my journal, abundance to me means an overflow of love, an overflow of opportunities, an overflow of joy, of connection, of community, an overflow of gratitude, an overflow of money. It's like, just like my cup being filled and more so that I can give back, right? So that is my definition of abundance. Now, if I want to be that, am I being that? Am I giving to people? Am I spreading love? Am I spreading joy? Am I spreading abundance? Am I giving back? And that way, that is your thoughts, feelings, actions, and intentions all in alignment. So again, like your thoughts, feelings, actions, and intention can all be like, I don't know a better word besides like blended, or just one definition of just embodiment, of just being it. And that way you collapse all timelines, because we live in a quantum universe that's like infinite possibilities and realities exist in this timeline. If you don't know what I'm talking about, listen to that episode with Roberto Vomero where we talk about the unified field. You collapse the timeline and you are that now. Like, there is no manifesting, there is no waiting, there's no such thing as time. Time is something that we construct to make sense of our 3D reality, but our past, our future, and our present moment are happening at the same time, which is why it's so important. And every spiritual practice talks about being in the present moment, talking about the here and now. Baba Ram Dass talking about meditation, because meditation and breath work help you to connect to the present moment, because actually the present moment is the only thing that's real. Tomorrow will be now. You know, like if I constantly think about the past, that's my now. So anyway, the reason why I bring this up is because I think going back to resonance and going back to everything that I've talked about in this whole entire episode is reminding you that we are 5D, five-dimensional, multi-dimensional beings, where we can tap into the consciousness of who we are, the part of us that is in the unified field of love, of everything. We are nothing and everything at the same time. We are, love itself, but we're also 3D. We get to experience this matrix, this simulation where it is the planet of manifestation and of this material realm, where we get to like do cool things like listen to podcasts and be in circle and drink cacao and um, feel and be sensual and enjoy life. And so again, I don't know like what you're all going through. I was definitely going through the ringer last week of all the shit that's happening in the 3D reality. But then I reminded myself that if we can all tune into the resonance of love, if we can all get there individually, then we all resonate at the same frequency of love, which is ultimately what is going to change the frequency of this planet. And what I ultimately believe is going to change this world is when remind ourselves of the fact that we are one. And I know that sounds super cheesy, and I really hate that the new age conspirituality community really ruined this for me, but we really are all connected. We're all unified. We are all love. We are all not separate. And when we can find that within ourselves, when we become into union with ourselves, and that's also Gemini is like the twins. One of the twins sacrificed himself for the other one. Like when we can truly, and I have to remind myself of the Greek mythology about that, but when we can truly unify within ourselves our own duality is when we can truly be present and help others in the collective. Because when somebody sees us be successful and when somebody can see us being abundant, especially women of color, because women, we are the creators, we create life. So we oftentimes are the ones that give back to our communities. This world would be such a more harmonious and beautiful place. So I think I want to end that there. I hope that this gave you inspiration, and I hope that wherever you are tuning into around the world, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for your energy, your attention, and for all of your love. And I really hope you have a beautiful and prosperous Gemini season. Okay, talk to you soon.